Believe it or not, in the beginning, I found that it was very lonely. It was like hard to like walk into a room and you were like, oh wait, am I the only colored person here? Not just brown person, not just Tamil person.
How is it like to live with someone and work with them?
He really enjoys it because he's seen how much like I've grown and we've grown.
I know you went through a loss.
Having experienced that loss has really opened my eyes, and just knowing that, hey, like life's really short. You really don't know when you're gonna see this, you know, people that you love.
Speaking of, my last question. Thanuska, thank you for being here.
Jenny, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited
pleasure.
to have you.
Me too.
Another thing I have to mention is I love your outfit today.
Oh, thank you.
Because it's very different from what we see on Instagram. And I love the fact that even on Instagram, we get to see both sides of you.
That's good.
The first thing I want to say is, I know we say this every time we probably see each other, but the first time we actually met and worked together was a photo shoot.
Where you were taking pictures of me?
Yes. Which was, I don't remember how many years ago, maybe 10 years now? For Shop
I want to
Barney.
say it was in the year 2014 or 2015.
Oh my God, okay.
I think 2014, if I'm not mistaken, it was for Barley.
Yes.
You took that shot of me running in the woods, right? Like
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But the shot that always comes back to my mind is the one in the black outfit where you were standing against the wall.
With my
Maybe
leg
we'll
out and
post
this
it.
slit.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember taking that picture of you, and I'm like, this girl's got it. Like, she knows what her best assets are, and she knows how to bring that on camera. And like, because I've worked with so many people, it's like certain people stand out to me. You were definitely one of them.
I'm flattered, thank you.
And to see from that Thanuska to where you are now, all I can keep saying is like, I just look at your work and I'm like that big sister that just looks back and be like, so proud of her.
Aww.
It's one of those. So I'm really proud of everything you're doing, and I hope you are too, because your growth has been incredible.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
One thing that I'm pretty sure everyone usually asks you is your confidence. It oozes out off the screen when we watch social media.
I'm glad.
But I want to know, like, where does that confidence comes from to remind yourself that this is more of a creative outlet for you, and I'm not doing it for the likes, for the fame, for the, you know, the recognition online?
Honestly, speaking of confidence, I can't say I was that person always growing up. I feel like when I was younger, I'm sure you know, because we're Tamil or whatever, just being of a deeper skin tone, just hearing things in our culture, things like that, has really actually affected my confidence growing up, especially being in a family of two siblings that are extremely fair skin. But I think over time, it's just being just content with who I am as a person, wanting to and striving to be a good person for one, and then being confident in my, you know, abilities, whether it's creating content, playing sports, things like that. I think those have really helped shape the level of confidence that I have. But yeah, I don't really know. I can't really explain like where that confidence come from, but it's just like I'm just very happy and content. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm happy with who I am as a person more than I am with how I look. That's just an added. But yeah, I don't know.
You actually answered my first question, because my second question, which was about your childhood, because I'm always curious when I see your content, like, were you always into like you know when you see those celebrity home videos where it's like they were always doing what they did, and you see them singing with their mic or they're dancing, like, were you that kid who always liked beauty and glam, or were you like the complete tomboy into sports?
I was definitely a tomboy, but I think because when I was younger, the reason I even got into makeup is because my mom worked at one of those, you know, those Mac Estee Lauder warehouses.
Yeah.
She worked at one, so she would bring home a lot of makeup products, skincare, things like that. So that's kind of, I was aware of that kind of stuff very young. Also, I started dancing, like Bharatanatyam, when I was 6. So I was already wearing makeup at a very, very young age. So there was that side of me. I can't really say girly, but like kind of girly, I guess, but I was more so a tomboy growing up until like maybe in my teens. University is where I became like, I mean, I would like to say I'm still a tomboy, clearly, the way I'm dressed. But yeah, no, like it was always in my life, but it's not something where I was, like you said, like singing, dancing, whatever, but I would play with makeup. At the age of 9 is where I started doing my own Bharatanatyam makeup for all my shows.
Really?
Yeah, I think I just started to get annoyed with how my mom would do my hair and my makeup. She would do my hair.
Dark black eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I started wanting to do it on my own. And so I got really interested in it. So I would do it. And so I would always that's how I started. I would wear makeup to school, like specifically just eyeliner, eyeliner, mascara, whatever all of us wore when we were kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was exploring with that very, very young. I just never thought it would become my career. But yeah.
So since you were one of those people that like when you were much younger you started wearing makeup, like what would you say for like all the conversations now about like the younger, like the Gen Z who are on Instagram now and like watching influencers and getting like wanting to be exactly like them? Like what would you say about that conversation that happens? Like where's that fine line between using makeup to enhance your own beauty whereas like copying the next biggest influencer?
I think, no, yeah, for sure. I definitely think that becoming an influencer I can't really say, I don't want to say confidently, but like it may have just become a trend because it's like, people love that. Okay, like for my job, like, there's perks of like the events that we go to, the products that we receive, the people that we meet, things like that. It's just, I think people just need to stay true to what they actually like and what they want to do. If they genuinely want to, hey, like I love makeup, this makes me happy, I want to start creating videos and helping people with those videos, I feel like that's the right thing to do or a good way to start. But like if you're doing it, I mean, I can't really say if you're doing it for fame, it's not for you. People, if they want to become famous, they could do it, that's fine. But I think you need to know that in this job, there's positives and negatives. And if you're not prepared for the negatives, which is, lots of rejection, because nowadays, because the industry is very saturated, there's a lot of people doing it. I feel like harder to get noticed. So it might take longer to get noticed. The negativity that comes with trolls on social media, if you're not prepared for all of that, then this job is not for you. So you really have to be, again, a very confident person and just have super thick skin. So I think those are things that people, especially the younger generation, needs to know and remember when jumping into this career.
That's really interesting. Again, you also answered my next question, but I'm going to bring it back up. For someone, let's say they're shy to be in front of the camera, but they love makeup and they want to showcase their work, but they're just so scared about what they would look like and they don't know how to deal with like the comments. What would their first step be?
Believe it or not, I was actually very shy to be in front of a camera too. What helped is like, this photo shoots and all that stuff. Specifically speaking in a camera, like you feel like you're crazy because it's like, who am I talking to? I'm just talking to this camera right here, right?
Right.
But eventually over time, it became very normal. So it's completely normal to feel shy and feel like it's not meant for you. You might have those feelings, but I can promise you almost everyone probably goes through that. I think the first step would just be, honestly, if it's not something you can get over, just, filming videos or starting to film and then maybe just looking at it and just seeing if it's something you want to do rather than sitting there and being like, no, this is not meant for me, and just counting yourself out right from the go. Still trying is a good way to start. But yeah, I guess if it's something that you really, really want to do and you're thinking about it every single day, just do it. Because that was me.
That's a passion then.
Absolutely. I think that was me. Like I used to always be on social media and I would see like a lot of creators that I would look up to even before I became an influencer or started doing makeup even on people. I would always sit there and think like, oh, like I know I have the talent. Like I know I can do people's makeup. This is when I was like wanting to freelance. But I'm just too scared about like what other people think or like if I'm not good enough and whatever. But it just really took a push from like Nidun and some people that it was like, okay, it was encouragement that kind of pushed me to do it. And then eventually I was like, oh, okay, like I'm good.
I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like when you want to become an influencer now, it's like the only thing people focus on is like all the positives, all the like the glam, the glitz and glam. But I do want to touch on like the negative sides of it too. What are some like the biggest sacrifices that you really have to make if you want to stay consistent in this game?
Oh God, negative.
Where do I start?
When you say it's negative things or are you talking about like the negativity you experience or are you talking about like
a little bit of the sacrifices you have to make as a person? Like let's say you post something and you expect it to go viral because that's trending, but your specific content doesn't go viral. How do you deal with that feeling of like that
I think it's just like you have to think about, okay, why am I posting content? Am I posting to go viral? If that's your reason, then you're going to face constant disappointment, because not everything on social media, unless like the algorithm is working in your favor or the app is working in your favor, not everything is going to go viral. So I think it's having a purpose on the platform. Like for me, when I started posting videos, one, I love doing makeup. Two, I love being creative with my videos. Like in the beginning, Nidun helped me a lot, but like just the way I would want my videos edited, I would have a lot of say in that.
Okay.
And then three, it's after I posted my first video, just seeing how many people that have deeper skin tone looked up to my videos, being like, oh my God, I have someone that I can get product recommendations from. That was my purpose and why I wanted to do a lot of makeup tutorials. So if you have a purpose as to why you're doing it, then none of it, like whether your video goes viral or not, it's not going to matter. Obviously, that's an added, because virality is exposure, whether it's people, brands, and things like that. But if you stay consistent with your work, that viral moment will come for you. And I think that is what happened for me. Like I was doing this since 2018, and I only started going crazy viral in 2021. So it took 3 years for me to experience those big numbers. And and I could confidently say, hey, I've been producing pretty high quality work from the get, because I was very fortunate.
You have.
I mean, it was all thanks to Nidun, to be honest, right? I'm very fortunate in that sense, because he's obviously a videographer and he helped me in that sense. But for me, it's like I would always sit there like, yo, like my quality is so good. Like not just that, but my makeup is really good. Like that's one thing I'm very confident about, the way I do makeup. I'm like, everything is good. It's just like I'm not getting that moment. My moment hasn't come yet. So I would always sit there, and then it's just when the time it's right, it will happen for you. And that's what happened for me in 2021, and then ever since then, it's been great. There's still ups and downs over the years, but like it is what it is. As long as you know what your purpose is in this industry, then you'll be fine.
Do you feel like the beauty standards for specifically South Asians have really changed? Like I know there's like a lot of shoots now where they're incorporating like Indians and like I don't know if I see a lot of Sri Lankan people. Maybe I haven't paid attention as much, but has it really changed, or is it more of a let's get a brown girl in so that it will have more reach?
I want to say it's moving in the right direction.
Okay.
Which is a good thing, because now we're seeing more, not just brown, but we're seeing colored people in general, the BIPOC community. It's just like, it still needs a lot of work, because you still notice a big difference with the number of opportunities, whether it's not just like shoots and stuff, but like brand trips, the events that you're going to. Like nowadays, like events that we go to, we see a lot of brown girls now, which is really nice. It's just now, okay, the next step, what are the big opportunities? Who are you using for those things, like photo shoots and things like that? It's unfortunate, because I find that we're being used when it's convenient for brands, like when there's a Diwali campaign.
Yes.
Obviously, you're not going to feature someone that's Caucasian. You're going to feature someone that's celebrating the holiday. So it's unfortunate in that sense. It's obviously good that they're reaching out, but there still could be a lot of work. I'm very fortunate in having opportunities like that outside of Diwali and things like that. But I can't, there was a point where I was like, oh, I felt like I was just a token brown girl. And I'm like, other brown girls that are just as talented, if not more, need to get these opportunities too. And it's starting to get better, but it could be a lot better. But I would say it's moving in the right direction.
That's good. That's a good change that I think we've seen. But I also have to say, you made it to Times Square with that billboard, so yay for that.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of that too, like that's another one. But again, like that was
bittersweet, isn't it?
I know it was a really special moment, but around that time there was still like other campaigns and projects where a lot of brown girls weren't being used. I don't want to say specifically what it was, but it was still disappointing to see, like, you know, we're still having to fight for our spot to be recognized and things like that. But with certain brands, it's a lot better. There are certain brands that are very, very good with like inclusivity, in every regard, like events, shoots, things like that. So, but it's not all brands. It's just, now it's up to us. At the end of the day, when it comes to brands, it's the power's in the consumer's hands. So if you feel like you're not being represented, like don't support them.
How's the relationship within of the South Asians within the beauty community?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good because everyone's just so supportive. And like it feels very like heartwarming because I remember in the beginning, like when I went to my first brand event, and I could be wrong, but I was one of the first Tamil people. I definitely wasn't the first, but I feel like I was one of the first Tamil people here that started getting invited to events. Like maybe one of 5 people. And so it was, in the beginning, I found that it was very lonely because even back then they didn't really allow +1s, things like that. So it was like hard to like walk into a room and you were like, oh wait, am I the only colored person here? Not just brown person, not just Tamil person, you know? So it was kind of lonely, but like now it feels, it's nice because you feel like you're at home. When you see all these girls, everyone's super supportive online, just with content, things like that. But I think it's also because we understand each other's struggle. So we're just always there rooting for each other. So, yeah.
I think I like, based on like some of the things that I've seen you share in your stories too, it's like every time you see one of these promotional events, like seeing all of you guys together being like, hey, this person's also here at this event, like I think that makes me so happy because I think when we stick together as a community is when, like, you know, you showcase each other more, and like for me that just makes me happy every time. The other thing I do want to kind of touch on is, was there a brand deal that you worked with where it's like you had that moment where you're like, I made it? Or is it yet to come? It's like, where do
Let me think. I feel like I've had every single opportunity I get, whether it's a campaign or like all these photo shoots that I've gotten the opportunity to be a part of, like all of them were those oh my God moments. Like specific, like 2 that came to mind is the photo shoot opportunity I had with my sister in Sephora. Yeah. That was one of them for sure, because having your face blown up that big at a cash desk across Canada is insane. Like I went to Alberta one time for a trip and it was there as well.
Wow.
So that was really nice. And then also making the Sephora squad. I think that was a big deal because I think I was the second Tamil person to make it onto squad. The year before was Ilakia. The second year was myself. But it was a big deal because of the amount of applicants that sign up. There's about 18 to 20,000 people that sign up, across Canada and the United States. So it's one of those moments where it's like, wow, like of all these people, like this brand recognized me and my work. And so it was like, wow, okay, I'm worthy of something. That's at least how I felt. But like every opportunity that I've gotten, I felt like that.
So when people see you now on Instagram, what they're seeing is like the version of you where that's like, let's say you're very close to that, the peak, the top level of South Asian influencers. You would say like Thanuska's name comes up, but let's say I am someone. I'm asking this question on behalf of someone that's just starting on their journey. When it comes to monetizing and like building that brand partnerships, a lot of people don't have that confidence to reach out to people and self-promote. I don't know if there's another word for that, but just to be like, hey, like, you know what? This is what I do, and this is what my talents are, and to get that kind of relationship going. What's some advice you can give to people like that?
So I definitely think that pitching yourself to brands is like a really, really good idea, especially as I mentioned, like I feel like the market is becoming very saturated and it's hard for people to get noticed. Like even during my time, like when I was back then, when I used to post makeup tutorials or pictures or anything like that, I would tag all of the brands that I used in that makeup look, and I would just sit there and hope that one of them sees it or comments. And it was like the best feeling when they would see it. And a lot of times the PR packages that I receive came as a result of these brands even recognizing me in these pictures. So I would definitely say pitching yourself is a really, really good idea, whether that is sliding into their DMs and hoping that they see you, because obviously they're probably receiving like so many messages from consumers and people that are wanting to be influencers and things like that, but sliding into their DMs, or like I said, when you're posting a picture of yourself and you're using makeup products, or in your stories, posts, reels, anything, just tag the brands and like tag them actually in your post, not just in the caption. Because a lot of these brands, what they do is they look for people that are using their products, and nowadays they want, so I mean most brands at least, they want their, if they're doing a paid campaign or something, they want it to be authentic. So if I'm someone that uses a specific cream, like that brand may want to look and use me because they're like, oh, she already uses our product. It's going to be authentic. Like her audience is going to believe it, and they're going to believe her words because she actually uses it. We're going to want her to work for us. So a lot of times, like, that's how they look for their talent. So yeah, I would say, like, definitely if you're already posting or doing content, then ensuring that you're tagging these brands. Otherwise, how are they going to see you? Like on social media, like the amount of users that there are, and on TikTok too, it's like, how are they gonna see you, you know? But I must say, like, it's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take time. Like for me, as I mentioned, like, yeah, I was receiving PR and stuff, but my first year of posting, I started in 2018. I got my first partnership in 2019, and it was only for $100. So it's not gonna start off like, oh my God, I'm making the most amount of money. Two, it's gonna be you starting very small and then building your way once you start, you know, building your platform and building a name for yourself. And like, you know, I think that's how you're gonna get your opportunities.
Okay, so I want to switch this conversation now into the Thanuska outside of social media.
The Thanuska.
Yes. How do you balance promoting beauty products but also promoting the whole concept of self-acceptance and, like, again, coming back to confidence, like being true to who you are and not like falling into that? So how does Thanuska remain to be that authentic person while also building this brand online?
I think it's just like in my content, even like me coming on my stories and stuff and just kind of showing, hey, this is how I look on a day-to-day, like 95% of the time, this is how I look. And just kind of really connecting with my audience in that way really helps. Don't get me wrong, like here and there, like you're going to want to put a filter on your face because you're just like, oh, I don't like how I look today, which is like me, like most of the time anyways. But yeah, it's just like, this is me because I feel confident in how I look without makeup on. So I come on my stories that way. Even in my content, like when I'm posting my videos, a lot of them you'll see my before. You'll see how I look prior to the makeup because that's just how I look. I need people to know how I look. So I guess that, and just kind of putting out messages like, you know, you have to embrace yourself, embrace your skin, things like that. Yeah, that's the best way. Like, I think for me, like I mentioned, like I have a purpose. Like I'd want people that follow me to feel like, hey, they can feel confident in their skin too. So, and just also embracing my skin tone, as I spoke about earlier, just not changing the color of my skin, because I know in the beginning, like that was such a thing. And yeah, that's pretty much all the steps I really take to show like how I actually look, and that I'm also confident in it. So, I mean, I hope that messaging is coming off that way. Yeah.
Okay, so my next one, it's a little, I just want to see your reactions to it. Okay. So we're going into the mind of Thanuska now.
Okay.
I'm going to read 3 comments that I got off your Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
I want to see how you react to it.
Okay.
First one, I'm so lucky that I have got to see you in person, and I can say you are so beautiful both inside and out.
That's so sweet.
When I saw that comment, I'm like, yeah, I can agree. So I'll put that in.
That's really sweet. I'm glad.
I
don't know who wrote that, but
yeah, some of the girls, especially girls that I noticed, like the way they like support you, it's like, oh, it just makes my heart happy.
Oh, I know, this makes that felt really good. I'm glad. I think it's weird because like I when I was younger, or not younger, but like before social media and stuff, and even maybe during my years on social media, I've heard from people like that I look like a very intimidating person, or I come off very intimidating. Hey, you have RBF, okay? So I can understand that. I don't think I have RBF. So yeah, like sometimes people say like, oh yeah, she can come off a little intimidating, or at least I've heard people say I think she might be like a bitch. But I know I'm not that person, and I think I'm a very approachable person. Like
me neither.
So anytime I see people who are like my followers, I like at the end of the day, these are the people that are supporting you, and like I truly feel like I am where I am because of the people that support me like this. So having good interactions like this is important to me, and I'm happy and I'm very fortunate that I have good interactions like this. So yeah, that was a very sweet message.
Here's another one.
Oh God, what are you gonna hit me with, a negative one?
This is absolutely incredible. You actually look completely different and way less attractive when fully made up.
Oh,
Not
fully made up.
Not trying to be rude, just stating my observation.
I'm dead.
Without the glam, you're simply a phenomenal beauty.
Oh my God.
Is that even how do you take that?
So I take that as a compliment.
Okay.
I mean, thank you. I mean, I know I look great without makeup. I also think I look great with makeup.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it is to each their own. Like some people don't like full glam. Like I know a lot of people even within my circle that they're like, nah, full glam is not it. But it's just that's my form of expression. Like I started doing makeup because I like artistry. So tried it on my face. I like how it looks. I like that I could be a chameleon. So yeah, but this is how I look to the world. This is how I look 95% of the time. So
I just read that and
that comment's so funny. But I'm flattered. That's still a flattering comment.
Here's my favorite one. If anyone can edit my videos like this for me, I will give you my right kidney. I'm like, yep.
I want to know which video that was on.
I know.
I want to know if it was a video Nidun edited or if it was one that I edited.
Oh,
because we both he'll edit some of my videos and I typically do most, but the crazy transition ones where I'm like, okay, can you just please do it? Like I don't want to stress myself because I'm one of those perfectionists that takes way too long to edit, but. That's so funny. Oh my God. Right kidney. No, please keep your kidney. You really need both. I know you can live with only one, but you need both.
But I do want to transition to how is it like to live with someone and work with them?
It's an interesting experience for sure. It's funny because I always say if me and Nidun did not have the job that we have, both of us, our relationship would not have worked. And it's because we both have the same schedule and things like that. And I feel like because we get to work together, we spend time together. But you really, really need boundaries. What I mean by boundaries is working together is not spending quality time. And that's something that we're actually still learning and still working on because a lot of times, like even just this past Thursday and Friday, like we were together 12 hours in the day or something. And all we were doing was filming. And, for me, it's like, yeah, I saw Nidun yesterday, but like, no, I didn't. He's my working partner. But at the same time, it's like, you really have to like know those boundaries and know that, hey, you need to put your effort in your relationship too on other days and not work, not pick up your phone, not be on social media. It's very hard, especially with me having a job on social media where I'm required to be on the platform every day. But aside from that being like the negative, it's been a beautiful experience, honestly. Like, I think he really enjoys it because he's seen how much like I've grown and we've grown. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's my page and it's my face, but like he has a big part in why I'm this successful or how I've attained any level of success. So it's nice that I have someone to experience this with. It's
nice. Funny sometimes when I see like the stuff of you on Instagram, like your story, like when you're talking to your followers, I always assume like, what if Nidun's in the other room and like you're having a conversation with him, but he thinks you're talking to like your followers, and he just like completely like ignores you.
Oh, no,
like,
that's happened. That has happened. I'll be talking to my story, and he'll be like, "Huh?" Like he'll think I'm talking to him, but no, that's happened before. Yeah.
You seem like a person that's very close to your family. Like I've seen a lot that you post, and like usually some people don't like to post that as well. So like, we've seen your relationship with your family members, but I do have to ask about your mom. I know you went through a loss, and that can be something that's undescribable. Like no one else can relate to that thing. But what would you say that loss? Like how has that loss changed you as a person?
I think it has really changed my perspective on life, really. Like, I think my mom's life in general was a big lesson for not just me, but my two siblings too. Just the sacrifices that she's made in her life. Like, I'm sure you understand there's a lot of mothers in our communities that literally sacrifice their dreams, their ambitions to be a housewife and just provide for their families, right? So I think for me, that's helped me in a way. Like, it's a constant reminder, like, hey, I have this, I'm so fortunate and very privileged to have the life that I have, and I need to make something of it. Like, every single day that I feel like I'm wasting my time or wasting something, like, that's a thought that crosses my mind. I'm not saying it motivates me or inspires me to like, okay, get on my feet, let's do it. It definitely sometimes makes me feel like shit because it's like, what am I doing with myself? Like I should be somewhere else. But it's definitely been a lesson. My perspective on just like family and how much time to spend with them and things like that has definitely changed too. Like I know when she was around, like I honestly can't say, like I know I close to my family now. I can't say I was always like that. But in that sense, it's like, not everyone in your life is going to be around forever, especially your parents, especially our parents in our communities. So it's just ensuring you spend quality time and you understand like the struggles that they went through. I think that was another thing that I really like took in. Like I've always known like what our people have gone through, but I really took it in like, wow, like our parents came from back home, experienced all sorts of trauma, went through racism probably when they got here, but they still found a way to put a roof over our head and provide us with food, like the basic necessities, So I feel like it really gave me perspective. Like we can't really get mad at our parents, or we shouldn't get mad at our parents for like petty things, like, oh, you didn't buy me a car, you didn't buy me clothes, exactly. You didn't take me to this restaurant. Like I feel like these days, kids and us, even me, I'm guilty of it too. We get so mad at our parents for the pettiest things, and it's like they did their part. It's like now it's our job to provide for them. At least that's how I think. So in that sense, like having experienced that loss has really opened my eyes. And just knowing that, hey, like life's really short. You really don't know when you're gonna see this, people that you love. So just spending quality time and just not putting energy into like the negative things that happen, and just just really getting over petty things. I feel like has really come out of that.
Did they find it hard to accept your career as a beauty?
Okay, so yes and no. So in the beginning, so when I first started this job, I was living at home with my parents. So at first, because I worked a full-time job for 2 years as an admin assistant at this company, I was very complacent. So I like just stayed there because it was just easy and it was nearby the house. So I quit my job because I just didn't like management. And then I started taking clients. I dropped my first video like shortly after that. I saw that things were doing well on social media. I started taking clients for makeup and stuff. And like my mom, although, because she was, like I said, she worked at this makeup factory. So she was kind of aware of what makeup is. So she was happy that I was doing it, but she's like, okay, go find a job too. Like go find a real job. So there was always that pressure. Like I was doing nothing at home. And I'm like, how do you say it? Okay. So they would always say that. But I'm very happy with the fact that I'm not someone that cares about what other people have to say. I've always just been like that. So I never cared about what they said. Them pressuring me. It never was like, okay, I'm going to go look for a job. I never thought that. And seeing that things were picking up just helped. But my mom eventually, like the moment I started getting paychecks to the house, that changed things. My dad, he would always, like me and my dad, we have a very love-hate relationship. So he would be an ASS to me a lot of times. Like he would just make fun of what I'm doing and things like that. But things changed with my dad when he started noticing that people knew who I was. So like my dad's a mover, and like he would move for people's homes and stuff like that. So like some people would either recognize him, or like he would either say, do you know, like something like that. Or I think the first scenario was, hey, I know who you are, to my dad and my brother. And so he's like, oh, okay, Thanuska, like people know who she is. And so that's when he really started taking me seriously. Like, oh, okay, like I'm doing something for myself and people recognize me for it. And then I think I moved out of my parents' house in 2021. Mm-hmm. It was like a situation where I just felt like I needed to leave because I felt like I wasn't really growing in my parents' home. And this is after my mom passed, like a year after, I think. Maybe a year after, yeah. And I think for my dad, it was such a reality check. Like, wow, she's able to pay for rent and live on her own, and was like, okay, she's okay. That's when he really took me seriously. But my mom, she wouldn't really say anything mean, but she was always like, mothers, they'll be like, oh, please find a job. Like, do something with your life. Like, do something productive and reputable. I think that was the main thing.
For sure.
So it was mainly my dad that was the struggle. And then, yeah, now it's fine.
He's fine
Doesn't-
now. I
doesn't
saw
say
that.
anything.
I think it was a post about your dad showing up to your high school.
Yeah, my story time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just from that, I could tell the type of relationship we're here. You're just like, I know I love you, but at the same time,
Oh,
the
we need
things you
like
do
my
just
taking
drive
my
me nuts.
space from my dad actually was the best thing that could have happened for the both of us. Like we have a better relationship than
Yeah.
we ever did after I moved out.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because it's like, especially in our community and
Yeah.
South Asians in general, like there's a whole like, if you move out of your house, if you're leaving your parents behind, it's like, oh, you don't love them anymore. And like there's that, but sometimes we need healthy boundaries. And
Yeah.
like I feel like in our like community, there's still that uncomfortable conversation around like, no, I'm able to move out and live on my own. And I'm really glad you brought that
Yeah.
up. But yeah, that story was really funny and I want to see more. So I really hope you
I will.
post more.
I will. I did that one random story time, and I'm like, and surprisingly, people really enjoyed it too. It was funny because I think someone had said, I remember seeing this man in this building.
No
It
way.
was like I think my sister was saying it was someone that was in her grade or something, but I was like, oh my god, I just really exposed myself right now. But okay, but yeah, it was a really funny story. But yeah, just to those who are debating of like moving out and stuff, if you like, there comes a point where you have to put yourself first. And I think for me, like for the longest time, I was always thinking about my family, thinking about my brother, and that's the main reason I didn't even want to leave. But it came to a point where I'm like, if I don't leave right now, I think I'm going to go crazy. So I left, and it was probably the best thing for me because once I moved out, my career took off. It was the timing was just perfect, and then my relationship with my dad was a lot better. So there's actually people I know that come to me and tell me about the same story, like, hey, it's like really hard at home and I really want to move out. And I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like, you might feel like you're taking the biggest risk of your life, which I did. Financially, if I went to someone and said, do you think I can afford to move out, they would be like, there is no way. With my finances, like there was no way I was gonna be moving out.
Right.
But it just so happened, like I bet on myself, I believed in myself, and I said, I'm gonna make it work. And things just unfolded for me as I was doing that. So it worked out. So I would really recommend if you guys want to move out because your house is toxic. You should really move out. You'd be doing a lot of people a favor.
And that whole transition of like living with your family and then moving out, especially like if you're moving out to live on your own and without a partner, it's a very uncomfortable space because it's like there's all this quiet time that you spend on your own, and it's like just dealing with that. And plus, you were making content, so the only thing I can imagine is like you constantly talking to your camera, and the minute that shuts off, it's just like silence. And like I know a lot of like people who make like videos, they can relate to that, where it's like they make videos, it seems like their life is full on, like you see all the positive sides, but behind that it's like it's just quiet. So being able to handle that too, it's like any experiences you want to share for someone who's, let's say they're moving out?
It does get lonely, to be honest. Like I think for me, like I'm very fortunate that I have Nidun, who always is there to check up on me and things like that. But like even now that I live in a house like by myself for the most part. Nidun, like we both share the house, he goes back and forth, but it can get to feel like you're lonely sometimes. I remember when I first moved out of my dad's house to the condo, I was very homesick. And I think it was just like, it was like, oh my God, I left my brother. And it's like, I've lived on my own in Waterloo because I went to school there.
Right, yes.
But I've always had roommates.
Yeah.
So it was like normal, but it felt very different. And it's like, oh my God. And you start to doubt yourself. And then I suffer from imposter syndrome too. So it's like, oh my God, like, okay, this good thing finally happened for me, but like, okay, like, do I deserve to live on my own? Like, what did I do? Like, I had all those questions in my head, trust me. But it just comes to a point where you just have to think like, okay, this is the best thing for me. Like, you just have to remember that. And you just have to get used to it. Like, you really do. Like, this job can get lonely too if you're like, on your own and whatever, so. But it's okay. Like, usually when you're lonely and you're doing your thing, like, you're working on yourself, and it's always a good thing, so.
Now, I'm glad you said that, but you also said another thing that I noticed in another video that I was going to bring up, your proposal video, which was so cute. It was done so well, but I remember in one part you got very emotional, and like, I don't even know if I deserve this.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I a lot of time, like, no, I really suffer from that. Even like with my career, just a lot of the things, positive things, great things that have happened, I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? I don't feel like I deserve this. But like,
I feel like that's like a common thing I'm seeing with like a lot of South Asian women, where it's like when something really good happens, we want to be quiet about it.
yeah, which is weird, right? Like, because you should be very proud because like not we're like, maybe that's what it is. It's like, okay, you know, like we're kind of like scratching the surface, right? And I feel like that could be why, like there was not anyone else where it's like, it's not like I'm just another one of them. It's like, okay, I'm one of the first to like do something like this or whatever. So with regards to like my career, I feel like that could have been why. I don't know. It's always that too good to be true feeling. With the proposal, I don't know. I just really like, it was such an extravagant proposal. Obviously, and Nidun's such a great guy for thinking
and a great
that
planner.
Very, very good planner. He had a lot of help from my manager, but he's always really good at really thoughtful gifts and surprises and things like that. So, and he puts in a lot of thought and effort. So he was really good at that. But I don't know. It was just such an extravagant moment. Like I remember once a proposal happened, like we got back to the room and I was just lying there. Even the next day, I was like lying there. I'm like, I don't feel like doing anything. Like, why are we here for this? Like, it was just one of those moments. But then I kept having to remind myself, like, this is a once in a lifetime. At least I want it to be a once in a lifetime moment. And it's like, I just have to sit there and enjoy it and enjoy us and like that we deserve this or whatever. So I had to catch myself really, but I don't know what it is. I really don't know. I feel like I really do anything really. Even like when we bought our house, like, cause you know, I think that was probably one of my proudest moments, but because we did it on our own. But still, like even that, I'm like, how, like why? Like I had those questions too. Like I don't know.
It's something that I wanted to ask because it shows another transparent side of you, which I found was beautiful that you actually like didn't edit that out. Because a lot of the time,
are you talking about the YouTube video of my reaction?
Of the reaction,
Oh, Nidun edited that.
Oh,
I'm
glad he kept that.
I know.
Because
I was reacting to my reaction video. I was like, you put the part where I was crying, but yeah.
No, because that's something like, you know, it's like when you watch proposals videos, for example, everyone sees like the perfect picture and they're like, oh, this must be so nice. They're probably so happy. But like right when it's done, it's like there's that transition again where you're just like, whoa, what just happened? Like, you know, is like, this is such a big moment. How do I even react to it? And no one sees that side. So the fact that you put that reaction video is like, okay, here's her real reaction to like whatever happened. So I love the fact that you're very transparent, and that's one of the reasons I brought it, because again with this podcast, like one of the main things that I want to focus on is like, just because you see the best side of them on Instagram or social media, they go through the same things that like anyone else goes through. We're human
too, you know?
Yeah, and like it's so hard because I want people to be able to gain that confidence to think of themselves as good as anyone that they see online. So
absolutely,
you're one of those people, I think, like people, whenever someone has a bad day, they can look at your content and see like you in your natural glam self, and also see the other side of you and be like, she's relatable, like I feel good.
I know.
So that's
I hope
really
I come off that way. I'm glad you say that. It actually makes me feel really good. I want to be very relatable. And because I'm just the girl next door. I'm not no commercial, you know, whatever. I just want to be that person or whatever for people. So I'm glad you think so.
Speaking of, my last question, what do you want to be remembered for as Thanuska and also as a beauty influencer? Or any other title.
It's so funny you ask, because I feel like my biggest struggle, or like something I really struggle with, or like it's so weird because I feel like I have the same struggle every single year ever since my 20s, is trying to find my purpose, because I don't feel like I have yet. I know people might be like, oh my God, she has this career, like what? But I personally don't think this is just it for me. At least I don't want it to be, because like I don't have a sense of fulfillment with this. This makes me very happy, and like I'm happy that, you know, I can entertain people, keep people engaged, you know, make a difference in people's lives. But I think the whole difference part, and you know, providing some level of value in people's lives is what I would want to do. What the vehicle for that is is I don't know, but I do have goals of things I want to do in my life. But yeah, I guess it's just making a difference in people's lives, like a positive impact. Whether that's making people feel more confident in their skin, at least speaking about my career. making them feel more confident in themselves and their skin. And yeah, I think that would be the main thing. But yeah, just making a positive impact on this world.
Well, I think I can say as someone that's watched you, you're already doing that, but I know that only means that there's so much more coming for you, and I'm going to keep watching and seeing all the amazing things you're going to achieve. So thank you again for being here.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Wow. Everybody, tune in.
Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'm not going to say the rest because you know what to do if you want to follow my podcast. Till next time.